So we already know the official list of the first ever subsumed abilities for each frame in the brand new Helminth system. To be honest, I have seen potentially powerful synergies when subsumed abilities are combined with other frame abilities. I also think that this Helminth system will somehow make every frame in the game good. Other frames will be good, while others will become complete, and in this video, I will try to give you the frames that I think will get the most benefit out from these subsumed abilities. Do stick until the end of the video, as we will have another giveaway, and discuss important things that you should consider about this new Helminth system. Okay, now let's begin this video. So first, I think Volt will be one of those frames that will benefit the most from the Helminth system. I can see the potential for Volt becoming tankier through shield gating, but the best part of the system for Volt will be the damage boost department. When this update comes, I could see myself replacing Volt's speed with Rhino's Roar ability. In my opinion, this will make Volt a better DPS in Eidolon hunts. The damage you can get from his first ability with the Shock Trooper augment, then added with some decent damage from Roar, will somehow increase the efficiency of Volt in terms of taking down the big giants in the plains. In fact, we could potentially take down Eidolon faster without needing any Riven on our equipment, and with some godly Riven mod, I'm pretty sure that you'll end up having lots of arcane on your inventory in a single night cycle. The next one is Mesa. The aimbot frame is already powerful, but with the Helminth system, we could ramp up that power or even create some insane out-of-the-box synergy with Mesa. This frame's strongest abilities are her shooting gallery, shatter shield, and of course, her peacemaker. I could see myself replacing her first ability with a subsumed ability, and I could add something like Rhino's Roar or Mirage Eclipse on this slot. There's also the option to make Mesa tankier. You can also put Nova's Null Star on her first ability slot. This does combine well when you build Mesa for lots of duration. In fact, I can see myself adding Hunter Adrenaline for this kind of setup to achieve a non-stop aimbot turret action. Or, you could put something like Korra's Ensnare or Nidaslava ability on her first slot to create an Extremes crowd control aimbot build. There are lots of things you can do with Mesa in the Helminth system, and the best part is, you won't sacrifice any necessary ability in the process. Moving along, we have Loki. I know many would disagree about this, but I really think Loki will become exceptional once the Helminth system arrives. This frame is already good, especially in high-level missions, as Loki can hold his own with his invisibility and ability to be defensive with radial disarm. There's only one thing missing though, and that is an easier method to kill endgame enemies. There are lots of weapons that can do this, but with Loki having Ashes-seeking Shuriken, it would probably take less time to kill those bullet sponge enemies. And like the previous frames that I have mentioned on this list, Loki has two ability slots that you could replace for a subsumed ability. Namely, you can replace Decoy or Switch Teleport. In my case, I would go with Switch Teleport since Decoy is also helpful. I usually hide this ability and make enemies dumb looking. If you didn't know, Decoy is one of the best aggro control in the game. Enemies will prioritize this ability over defense targets or even frames. Next on the list is Limbo. The best solo defense frame is missing one thing, and that is a way to easily get enemies inside his wonderland. With a subsumed ability like Korra's Ensnare, or Nidaslava, you can easily pull targets inside your Cataclysm. In fact, this could open to possible new meta build variety for Limbo, with something that can pull enemies into Cataclysm easily. Then you could take advantage of Limbo's Rift Torrent augment, which gives you more damage inside the Rift plane. This could potentially turn Limbo into a better one-man army in terms of cheesing defense missions. Valkyrie could also become great after the Helminth system is implemented. There are a variety of things you can implement with this frame without sacrificing her impressive core features. The fact that you can pull out Ripline and just put anything in place of it is just conventional. The first thing I have in mind is obviously to min-max the damage mitigation of this frame. Defy will be the best in slot for this frame, as that 1500 bonus armor will ramp up Valkyrie's defenses. Or, I could also get rid of armor mods on my build and rely on the 1500 bonus armor from Defy. In that way, I could put other mods on my build for a more effective build. Aside from damage mitigation, I see the potential of Valkyrie's claws reaching a new power level. With abilities like Roar and Eclipse, it is safe to say that her claws can do more damage. Lastly, the first slot could host subsumed abilities that might potentially give Valkyrie some gimmicky builds. I have a quick Paralyze build for Valkyrie, and I'm hoping to incorporate Nidaslava to this synergy. I still need to test it if it will work in real mission, but rest assured that I will be covering this synergy once the Helminth system is out. The next Warframe is Mirage. There can be a variety of ways to play Mirage, but the most common is a max strength and max duration build, which takes advantage of her Hall of Mirrors and Eclipse ability. This build without a doubt will give you tons of damage, but it will also give you a 50% chance to be tanky. 95% damage reduction from Eclipse can proc whenever you get into dark areas, but it's not very reliable every time. It would task you to move and stay on that area to gain the 95% damage reduction buff, but will take away your insane damage. Well, there's a simple fix to it, and that is by equipping Nova's Null Star ability on either her second or fourth ability slot. The Null Star ability will synergy well with Mirage since you will be building her with max duration. It may not be as versatile as other frames, but it makes Mirage a complete Warframe for high-level content. The King of War farm will also be complete once the Helminth system drops, but unlike the previous frames that I've mentioned, wherein subsumed abilities will either complete them by adding survivability or damage, Necros will be better in one aspect alone, and that is farming. His Soul Punch will be open for subsumed abilities, and you can replace this with something like damage buffing abilities. This way, you can farm and do endurance runs without breaking a sweat. Although it's great to have more damage, what I'm planning to do with Necros is give him Nidus Lava ability. Why? Well, solo endo farming in the arena, that's why. Aside from that, utility skills would be best in slot for this frame since he already has survivability, and the damage won't be that hard to inflict while holding a strong slash-based melee weapon. Another damage dealer that will surely love the Helminth system is Chroma. This Warframe is the same with Mirage. He got plenty of damage but his survivability is debatable. I know you will say that Chroma is tanky as hell right now, but if you are doing some endurance runs, or you started playing before the big Chroma nerf, then you would know how poor Chroma's defense right now. I saw fire Chroma, it doesn't matter, as the level of survivability that this dragon has now isn't the same as his pre-nerf version. In fact, I have suggested a couple of times about somehow buffing the defense of Chroma or a complete rework on his kit. Well, this is the answer of Digital Extremes. You do the rework, you noob. All I need to do is either give this dragon more armor with Defy, or give him another form of damage mitigation with Nova's Null Star. In this way, I could opt out using Ice, and give Chroma more health with the Fire element. But this doesn't stop here. There are other gimmicky builds that you can implement with Chroma without sacrificing anything on his usual builds. Say, you can always give him Valkyrie's War Cry and have an Eternal War Dragon build for Chroma, or you could do something crazy, and give him Seeking Shuriken, or even Ember's Fire Blast to feel like a real dragon in the game. Last but not least, Inaros. Before we get the Helminth system, I would like to congratulate all the Sandboy mains out there. You will finally use abilities, lads. But seriously, using abilities isn't the only thing meaningful for Inaros with the inclusion of subsumable enemies. With the update, we can finally see a 10,000 health Inaros Prime, or we can finally see Inaros as a legit tank. Honestly speaking, those crazy health values mean nothing if you don't have damage mitigation in high-level missions. With something like additional armor, or even a form of damage mitigation, that health values will be untouchable. And, remember when I said that I wish Digital Extremes will rework Inaros' Sandstorm ability, to make it vacuum enemies instead of the ragdoll effect? Well, we got a solution, and I'm very excited to put either Ensnare or Lava on my build, and run over everything with my Elemental Sandstorm build. Now I do know the fact that the Helminth system will overall improve the playstyle of every frames, but we must also factor out how we mod a frame. The fact is, not every subsumed ability can synergy with other Warframe abilities because their optimal builds might contradict with each other. A good example of this is Baruch. Although I am excited to give Baruch more power with Rhino's Roar, or Mirage Eclipse, both abilities might not fit in with the optimal build I have for my monk frame right now. If you are like me who are using a max power strength with minimal duration reactive storm build, then obviously, we have to tweak the build so that either damage buffing abilities will be active for a good amount of time. However, doing this will make Klal less effective in terms of eroding Baruch's restraint bar. I really don't see the Helminth system being overpowered since you need to sacrifice something in your build just to incorporate a subsumed ability. The frames I have included on this list may not be the case, but honestly, I don't see them broken with subsumed abilities. The Helminth system will just give them the missing piece on their kit, so they could somehow be more effective in real missions. I really don't see them becoming overpowered to a point wherein you will only use one frame to do all things in the game. Before we head to the giveaway announcement, I would also want to remind you that this Helminth system will be an absolute grind fest. Don't expect that you can just go and slap all subsumed abilities on all your frames. Do remember that you need to get all non-prime frames, then sacrifice them to the Helminth. And, take note that each frames do require components that some have very low drop chance, which is why I advise that you farm them now if your first priority is the Helminth system when Heart of Deimos update arrives. On top of that, subsuming and injecting abilities do require resources, which is again, can be considered as a grind wall. You see, this is what I always say to my community. Never play like your noob leader, play at your own pace to avoid burnout. As a content creator, I have a knack of getting everything at the fastest time possible so I can provide content to my audience. This doesn't mean that you should do the same. Just save my guides for future use and don't push yourself to grind all the stuff in one day. Lastly, although the frames you have seen here might get the most benefit, this doesn't mean that they are the most powerful. There are better, and more insane Helminth combinations that I will show you once the update hits. The things I've shown here are those subsumed abilities that made the whole frame complete, without sacrificing any of their important features. This is just scratching the surface of the Helminth system, my dear squadmates. There are more to come, and expect that they'll be mind-blowing. Now before you leave, here's another giveaway for my community. Like before, I will be giving away another 300 platinum to one lucky winner. It will also be available to all platforms, and to enter, simply click the link on the pinned comment below. I have already sent the prizes of our first few winners, and I will continue doing giveaways on my community so you will not only enjoy the informative content, but also get the chance to win prizes. Thank you again for all your support. Until next time, Squad Leader signing off.
This is the future. Human error. Evolution. This is the future.